Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video today. And today we're going to be talking about what the Phoenix Suns offseason plan should be after hiring Mike Budenholzer as their head coach. I really love this hire for the Phoenix Suns. I think he's going to be a great addition. I think he's I think he's a better head coach, number one. I think he's a more likable guy than Frank Vogel is. I think their superstar Durant's going to be more happy with Mike Budenholzer as their head coach. There's also a coach. I'm not trying to bring up the bubble, but this is a coach who has winning experience. I know that I know that LeBron, Frank Vogel won a championship with LeBron and the Lakers in 2020. I'm not gonna say that doesn't count just because the fact that it was in the bubble. But I look at that championship and I feel like he just wins that championship because LeBron and AD, to be honest. I mean, and I look at Mike Budenholzer, I know he has the star talent around him with the Milwaukee Bucks before, where he was before. And, that championship team had talent with Chris Middleton, Giannis, and Drew Holiday, Brook Lopez, and Bobby Portis. Great team, right? But I look at the Bucks team, and I actually question if they win the championship without Mike Budenholzer. While I look with the Lakers in that 2020 team with Anthony Davis and LeBron James and the talented roster they had, because I'm going to be honest, even if the bubble doesn't happen, I still see the Lakers winning the championship that year because the Lakers were determined. The Lakers were determined to win a ring. LeBron was determined to win a ring. And that was the same year Kobe died. And to be honest, when Kobe died, I know I did, and I think a lot of people thought that the Lakers would win it for him, and they did. And I think things would have not been different if there was no bubble and the pandemic never happened. But it was a world pandemic, and it happened. But at the same time, I think that Lakers team wins the champ. I think they have the talent and the team to win the championship without Frank Vogel. I don't think he's that great of a head coach. And I look at Mike Budenholzer. I think he's a great head coach. That's why he's won multiple Head Coach of the Year awards. And I think he's going to be a really good head coach for this Phoenix Suns team. Now, I think there are going to be a lot of interesting, decisions this offseason. And I think one of them is going to be trading for a point guard. Mike Budenholzer has already said they want to add in a point guard, and someone I thought of immediately was TJ McConnell. He's someone who very well, even if the Pacers make a deep run, which they're already making a deep run in the Eastern Conference Finals, I think could be available. Because with the way he's played in the postseason and in the regular season, I think him being on an expiring contract, the Pacers very well could look to trade him. If we're all going to be honest, the Pacers very well might be interested in trading him just because of the fact that he might leave them the next offseason just because of the fact that he's going to get good money elsewhere, and they might not want to, they might want to get something for him now while they still can. And so that's why, he averaged 10 points per game, six assists per game, 3 rebounds per game, 56 field goal percentage. He doesn't shoot the 3-ball often, but he's a good 3-point shooter when he shoots it. Only averaged 1 3-pointer a game, but averaged 41% from 3. In the playoffs, he's been spectacular with 11 points per game, 5 assists per game, 2.5 rebounds per game. He's a great point guard. And you've seen how great of his facilitator he's been for the Pacers when Tyrese Halliburton's down at the 4, or sometimes they'll let TJ McConnell run the offense and keep Halliburton in the game at the 2. He's done a great job, and I think if the Suns are going to look for a point guard and they're going to look for a starting point guard, if you think about it, they don't have a lot of trade assets because Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, and Devin Booker aren't available in a trade to get a point guard. You don't really have the money free agency-wise to bring in a point guard. So trade-wise, I feel like TJ McConnell is a price that Phoenix could afford. So that's why I have Phoenix getting rid of their center, Yusuf Nurkic, and sending him alongside Nasir Little to the Pacers for TJ McConnell. If you look at, yes, I feel like this probably seems weird. You're trading for a center, you already have Miles Turner. Now, Yusuf Nurkic could be a good backup center, or they can trade him to get more value for him. Nasir Little is also a nice young player who's a decent 3-point shooter. Now, this is a nice compensation for a guy who's on an expiring contract. And I also want to add that guys like Little and Nurkic are both guys who have multiple years left on their deal. So this might look like a bad trade in the long run for Phoenix, but at the same time, it's a good trade to win next year. And maybe if Phoenix can save some money up, maybe could re-sign TJ McConnell. So yeah, but the other additions I think that should be made, well, not really additions, but re-additions, re-signing Eric Gordon and Royce O'Neal. And I obviously think Drew Eubanks is going to pick up a player option, the player option that he has. So he's going to pick up his player option. He's going to return. Phoenix doesn't even really have a choice in that. If they want to trade him, they can trade him. But I think Eric Gordon and Royce O'Neal are two guys that they need to bring back. I believe Royce might be a restricted free agent, so they can match any offer. But I feel like Eric Gordon, Royce O'Neal, what they provided, Royce defensively and shooting and Eric Gordon shooting, would be great to have those two guys back. And also, I think another guy that Phoenix needs to re-sign is Bol. And then my last big thing for Phoenix this offseason, you're getting rid of Yusuf Nurkic. You need to get a center that's going to help the team out. You need to get the center of the future for the Phoenix Suns. And I think that guy in the first round with your 22, you have the 22nd overall pick in the draft. I believe that's Zach Edey. I think Zach Edey would be a great fit for Phoenix. He'd have great guards around him to get him the ball. You have TJ McConnell, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker, the guys getting you to the basketball. And I think he's going to be a talented player, just like Embiid. I think Embiid has more talent than him, but I think the big thing that's going to be for Zach Edey, people will say, people just calling, the refs are just calling fouls to call fouls. But the reason Zach Edey and Joel Embiid as well get foul calls are because you can't guard them. You can't guard Joel Embiid, so you foul Joel Embiid. That's why Joel Embiid goes to the free throw line so much. That's why some of the best scorers in this league are going to the free throw line so much, because other players can't guard them. That's why guys like Shea, Luka, and Joel Embiid have a lot of free throws. And I think it's something that will probably eventually start happening for a guy like Victor Wembanyama. And I think it's going to be the same thing for Zach Edey. I hate to put Zach Edey in the conversation with those players. Those are star players. Those are the faces of the league. But at the same time, he is a guy who is 7'2", 7'3", something like that, or maybe he's 7'4". But he's in the 7'2", 7'3" area, and he got a lot of foul calls in college with Purdue. I think it's going to translate to the NBA. And he's great in the paint. He's a good defensive center. I think he's going to be a good fit in the league. And I think him alongside Kevin Durant would be amazing. And I think he's a great fit for this Phoenix team. What does the team look like after all that? After all those additions, all those roster moves? The starting lineup would be TJ McConnell, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, Zach Edey. Off the bench, this bench is very improved. Grayson Allen comes off the bench as the sixth man who was a starter last year. You have Royce O'Neal, who's a great defensive player and great three-point shooter. Drew Eubanks, who was their backup center last year, and Eric Gordon is one of the final guys off the bench. And I think someone who I would give minutes to is Bol. Could you imagine a lineup of Kevin Durant at the 3, Bol at the 4, and Zach Edey at the 5? Obviously, that's not going to be their starting lineup, because no matter what happens, maybe even Zach Edey as well. Bol is going to come off the bench. Zach Edey might come off the bench as well. And Drew Eubanks might start for Phoenix. But at times you could put in that lineup. You could put TJ McConnell at the 1, and you could put either Booker or Beal at the 2, and then have Durant at the 3 and Bobo at the 4 and Zach Edey at the 5. That's an OP front court right there. Let me know your thoughts, and peace out.